Hello everybody and welcome back to Assassin's Creed Revelations. I can speak to him. No, we can't. He said he was going to teach me something. He is not. Right, let's go to the bazaar. I wonder if we can... No, it won't let us recruit any more assassins yet, will it?
Forgive my insignificance. That was so... What an eccentric man.
I'm a crazy man, yes, you are right. Ooh, we can open the window.
Well now, what's he doing?
Really?
Oh, is it? Wait, okay, we gotta go in here.
Pierre Reyes. I think I have seen some of your earliest work.
Reyes? Did Yusuf Tazim send you? That sounds like one of his exaggerations.
See, he said you could show me the location of Nicolo Polo's former trading post.
Ah, you must be that Floranzala he's been yammering on about. Lothario?
Ezio.
I don't hear the difference. Yes, the old polo shop. It's just west of Hagia Sophia. Here.
Grazie. Yusuf also mentioned that you were the man to talk to about specialty bombs.
Ah, that man. He is a talker. A vet. I'm a navigator in the Sultan's navy. Currently on leave to study cartography. But through my soldiering, I've also gained an appreciation for artillery and explosives. And it has served the assassins well. It gives us an edge. I carry many kinds of bombs. For assassins only, of course. Lethal, tactical, diversionary, and a few peculiar casings. Everything you see here is for sale. If you can prove you know how to use it first.
I am eager to learn.
Well, no one is stopping you. Just let me know.
Craft a bomb. Oh, this is cool. What can I create? What do I want? Impact shell, fuse shell. Have I got tripwire? British gunpowder, shrapnel, datura, craft bomb. Ah, okay. Tactical pouch, fuse cell, aerobatic powder, lamb's blood. Yeah, I like that. Okay. And diversion. Sticky pouch. Indian gunpowder, salt of Petra. There we go. The smoke decoy alert guards that see the smoke signal it releases. I'm not doing them. No. I'm not doing them missions. Tripwire fuse. No, that's It's expensive, but these are expensive. Sticky bomb, cherry bomb.
Later then.
Why are they so expensive? So I can actually just buy them if I want to.
Please accept my apologies, Effendi.
I'm going to continue with the story a bit just to advance it before we start unlocking things.
Not another troublesome foreigner. How did you trip to the doctor?
Oh, that's certainly not a common sight.
Please, Effendi. I am a weak superman.
Buongiorno, merhaba. Please come in. Oh, excuse the clutter. I have not had time to tidy up since my trip.
You sailed from Rhodes, no?
See, how did you know?
We were on the same ship. I am Ezio Auditore.
Sofia Sartor. Have we met?
We have now. May I have a look around?
Prego. Most of my best homes are in the back.
Polo's farmer trading post may contain hints at the location of massive keys. Investigate the area to reveal any secrets. Okay.
It is nice to meet another Italian in this district. Most keep to the Venetian Quarter and Galata.
Altrettanto. I assume the Ottoman war with Venezia would have driven most of you away.
I lived here with my parents when I was a girl. The war pushed us out, but I always knew I would return.
Okay, let's check the database. Because we've met some new characters. Sophia Sartor, quite a lady, don't you think? Polylingual, multicultural, hyper-intelligent, and mature beyond her years. We know she was born in Constantinople sometime around 1476 and lived there with her family until the beginning of the Ottoman-Venetian War. That was 1499, a really bad year for Venetians living inside the empire. Sophia's parents dragged her back to Venice, but she could never forget the city where she was born. What's that saying? You can take the girl out of Constantinople, but you can't take Constantinople out of the girl? Something like that. And that painting of her, I could stare at it for days. That's by Albrecht Dürer, the well-known German artist. It's a masterpiece glowing with warmth and colour. Sophia's father offered Dürer a ridiculous sum to paint a portrait of his daughter, but when the painter finally saw his model in person, he declined all payment. He claimed the honour of rendering her would be reward enough. Right, only hotshot artists can get away with sap like that. Though her interests were broad, Sophia's primary passion was for literature, a love made possible by the invention of the printing press half a century earlier. For the first time in history, books were quite cheap and available to almost everyone. Sophia loved the democratizing effect of books and made it her life's work to make it sure everyone else did too. Period is born somewhere in the Ottoman Empire sometime around 1467, give or take a few years. Haji Ahmad Mohidin Piri was not quite so mysterious as his vague origins may imply. He was an accomplished seafarer and officer in the Ottoman Navy. Seabound by his early teens, he got his first experience as a privateer, sailing on expeditions of dubious legality with his uncle Kamal in and around the Mediterranean. By the time he was in his 20s, he and his uncle had both joined the Ottoman Navy, trading their rough freedom for respectability. In 1503, at the close of the Ottoman-Venetian conflict, Piri's taste for military adventures waned for a time, and he shifted his interest to intellectual pursuits, beginning a serious study of cartography in 1506. After some initial and unfortunate disagreements with the assassins, Piri joined their ranks. Not as a warrior, however, but as a scholar and technician. For all that he had seen in his years as a sailor, he had grown bored of the artificial boundaries that separate nations from one another and felt the assassins offered the truest intellectual freedoms. In the late 1511, after the sudden death of his uncle, Piri took to the seas once again to study navigation and hone his drafting skills. By 1513 he had produced what would eventually be considered his most famous map. A small work, best known for containing one of the earliest accurate depictions of the eastern shore of South America. Throughout the next few decades, Piri continued to make maps and perfect his skills as a craftsman of rare artistic and technical talent. It wasn't until Piri was in his early 80s that he officially earned the rank of Reis, or Admiral, by which point he was a legend in the Ottoman Navy. Wow, it's interesting. That is a very interesting man. Valisel Tradat. A Wallachian noble by birth, Valisel Tradat joined the Assassins in his early 20s. He remained faithful to the order for almost a decade until the day the Assassins brokered a truce with the Ottoman Sultan, Bayezid II. For the Sentinel, this was tantamount to treason. The Ottomans had shamed his people, conquered his lands, and murdered his secret idol, Vlad Tepes. Latching on to his disillusionment, the Templars recruited Vali into their ranks, where he quickly became one of their most feared killers. Because of Constantinople's unique geographic position on the boundary between Europe and Asia, doctors in the Ottoman Empire were well versed in the traditions of Eastern and Western medicine, which meant, depending on your perspective, they were either doubly educated or doubly confused. From the Greeks, the Ottomans had inherited a fondness for bloodletting and the application of leeches to cure diseases. From the Turks, they retained a passion for cauterizing wounds and convalescing in hot springs. Herbal folk medicines were also in widespread use. One Ottoman medical tome names over 600 different herbs with purported medicinal properties. Despite the nascent state of medicine at the time, the Ottoman Empire was notable for the fact that its hospitals charged no fees. Citizens with money, however, were still more likely to hire private physicians. Some things never change, do they? The rich people do. Rich do tend to go private more than like myself and anyone else who's considered lower middle class. The Great Chain. Built sometime around 1000 CE, the Great Chain was an ingenious, if slightly mad, defensive measure. Anchored to two large towers and strung across the mouth of the Golden Horn, the chain's primary purpose was to prevent enemy ships from sailing up the waterway and attacking the sensitive and poorly defended ports of Constantinople's interior. As low-tech as this sounds, the chain performed admirably on more than a few occasions for more than 400 years. And in 1453 it so vexed the Sultan Mehmed II that he was forced to improvise an ever stranger plan to circumvent the Byzantine defences. He pulled his warships over the hills of Galata and slid them on greased tracks into the Golden Horn, far upriver from the chain. It just goes to show that crazy is often the only way to beat crazy. I mean, we've got quite a few of them, Ottomans. The Battle of Bafias, fought just 50 kilometres in the east of the Constantinople in 1301, marks the first recorded mention of the Ottomans in world history. Led by a man named Osman, this modest army of Turks won a stunning victory over their Byzantine opponents, routing them from the battlefield and driving them north to the edge of the Sea of Marmara. The defeat shocked the complacent Byzantines who had already been struggling for decades to maintain a grip on the region. Over the next 150 years, the strength and size of the Ottoman Empire grew. Practically unhindered, winning victory after victory, the Ottoman Sultan slowly but surely engulfed regions once controlled by the mighty Byzantine Empire. First in Anatolia, now modern Turkey, then in Thrace, present-day Hungary, Greece, Macedonia, Albania, etc. Over time, the Ottomans' increasing presence in Eastern Europe began to worry the West. Most especially irked the Vatican, whose hatred of the Eastern Orthodox Church now seemed a mere quarrel over Semitics, in light of the encroaching Islamic Empire. But when the push came to shove, even the Pope could not be bothered to send aid to the ailing Byzantine Emperor, whose empire by the middle of the 15th century contained only the capital, Constantinople, and its surrounding villages. So even back then, a lot of the wars were about religion. Then at last in 1453, after 54 days of fighting, Constantinople fell to the Ottomans too. Led by their Sultan, 21-year-old Mehmet II, the Janissaries poured through a breach in the wall into the city. Upon entering the city centre, the victorious Sultan headed straight for renowned Hagia Sophia. Reaching the ancient cathedral, he fell to the ground and sprinkled some raw earth over his turban as a sign of respect. Eager to relocate the capital to the shores of the Bosphorus, Mehmed's first order of business was to rebuild Constantinople, now rendered as Constantinia in Turkish, and colloquially called Istanbul by many of its residents. As a model city of cosmopolitan empire in the decade after conquest, he was careful to preserve what he could of the old Byzantine capital while imbuing everything with a modern Ottoman meaning. In this, Sultan Mehmed must be considered a success. For a little more than a few decades, the population exploded from a paltry 40,000 citizens to well over 100,000 Muslims, Christians, Jews and Romani people flocked to the city from east and west, drawn to a capital bursting with commercial life, in the heart of an empire that valued religious and cultural diversity not only by tradition, but by rule of law. So the Ottomans made it law that you should respect different religions. That's cool of them. I think that's pretty cool. The Grand Bazaar. One of the earliest and most important projects undertaken by Sultan Mehmed following his conquest of Constantinople was the construction of the Grand or Covered Bazaar, an enormous enclosed hub of commerce and trade. Now they're called markets in England. Yeah, we've got indoor markets and that. The Grand Bazaar's close proximity to the Golden Horn waterway to the north gave merchants early access to and from ships arriving from all over the world, and its centralised location on the peninsula ensured that all citizens had reasonable access to its bustling corridors. Located at the heart of the complex is the Old Bedestan, a fortified enclosure built by Mehmed II, originally used by merchants to store precious goods and expensive wares overnight. Harbours, two small ports on the northern edge of Constantinople's peninsula nestled in the Golden Horn estuary. In the Byzantine era, both ports would have benefited from the protection offered by the Great Chain strung across the mouth of the Golden Horn. Galata Tower. Built by Genoese settlers in 1348 in the expansion of their colony on the north shore of the city, Galata Tower was the key component to a larger defensive structure, most of which had been dismantled by the time of the Ottomans. In the 17th century, the tower is purported to have served as the launch point for one of the earliest sustained unpowered attempts at human flight. According to reports from a travelling historian, a man named Herzafen Ahmet Chelebi strapped himself into a homemade glider one fine day in 1632 and threw himself off the tower's cornice. According to this one and the only eyewitness, Herzafen's flight took him over Galata and across the Bosphorus waterway, where he landed safely on the shores of the Asian continent. Awed by his apparently supernatural abilities, the Sultan had paid Herzafen a big fat bag of gold coins and banished him to Algeria, where he died some years later. Wow, that's crazy. Later in the 18th century, the Ottomans began using the tower to spot fires in and around the city, but by the late 20th century, the only fires of any concern to visit of Galata Tower were those burning up the floor of the nightclub built at the tower's apex. That's right, dinner and dancing for a modest price, high above the world, a far cry from the rather staid impulses of the Middle Ages, no? Mercenaries were highly mobile in the 16th century, moving from one contract to the next with ease. We still get them today, don't we? Irrespective of who they were fighting and what they were fighting for, often when a state bankrolling a band of mercenaries ran out of money, the group would disband, only to be immediately hired by the opposing side. This ironic practice reached its most poignant height in the beginning of the 14th century, where the Byzantine Empire, based on all sides by hostile tribes, paid a small but fierce group of warriors to fight for their cause. Who were these much sought after soldiers for hire? Ottomans. Some mercenaries were honourable, of course, fighting for causes they believed in, but in times of hardship and perpetual strife, such men as these were few and far between. Where they existed, however, they were much sought after. Oh, that's really cool. I've got other people, we've got... Okay, we've read doctors, Ottomans, mercenaries, Greek fire. Okay, we'll do this one. For centuries, the Byzantine Empire used Greek fire during naval battles. This gave them a great technological advantage and was responsible for many key military victories, such as the salvation of Constantinople in 1203 for 2 Arab sieges. Incendiary weapons were used in warfare for centuries before the invention of Greek fire, but what set the Byzantine Greek fire apart was its unique formula, which would continue burning even underwater, and the use of pressurized siphons to project the liquid onto the enemy ships. Some consider Greek fire the predecessor of modern napalm. Wow. The ingredients is the process of manufacturing and the precise deployment of Greek fire were extremely well guarded military secrets. Knowledge and fabrication of the substance were highly divided, with operators and technicians aware of the secrets of only one compound, showing that no enemy could gain knowledge of it in its entirety. For instance, some Bulgarians captured 36 Greek fire siphons in the early 9th century, but were unable to make any use of them. Crazy. Thieves. Following the example of legitimate craftsmen like miners, stonecutters, masons and hangmen, many thieves in the Ottoman Empire were members of the organised guilds, most of which were well known to the police on account of the frequent bribes and tributes the thieves paid to keep the authorities off their backs. Thieves were also mindful to target foreigners as often as possible so as not to upset locals, which proved quite easy in cosmopolitan Constantinople. It must also be noted that the line between crook and cop was very porous in those days, as many of the police chosen to keep watch on the thieves were themselves former members of the larcenous classes. Contacts. Okay, I've just read her, haven't I? Piri Perez, we've got Yusuf. Okay, we've got all these. Subject 16. Yeah, I'm going to read these ones. Okay, we got Yusuf Tazim. Aspergo has some data on this guy gathered a few years back, but there's not a lot about him in standard history books, which I'm sure he'd be happy to know. Yusuf Tazim was a Turk born in Bursa around 1467, but was raised in Constantinople from the age of 8 by his mother. His father was an assassin, and presumably that's how Yusuf became one too. But there's no mention of what happened to Papa Tazim. Was he killed? Did he desert the family? Your guess is as good as mine. By the time he was 17, Yusuf was well known around the city as a rabble-rouser and a petty thief. But a chance meeting with the legendary vizier Ishak Pasha changed all that. Ishak was an assassin too, operating in the Sublime Porto right under Bayezid II's nose. It was Ishak who had defeated Vlad Tepes and later brokered the tentative truce between Ottomans and Assassins. By the late 1480s, he was busy recruiting open-minded citizens of the empire to his order's cause. Yusuf was taken with Ishak's charisma and easy manner of leading, and so joined the Assassins just before his 20th birthday. From there, Yusuf's rise was swift and assured, and by 1500 CE, he had made quite a name for himself, and in 1502, Yusuf met with a contingent of Venetian assassins in Greece in a joint effort to steer the Ottoman-Venetian War to a peaceful end. These efforts appear to have paid off, for in 1503 the fighting stopped, ushering in a brief era of peace on the Ottoman Empire's western border. Perhaps made complacent by the assassin's successes in keeping the peace, Sultan Bayezid II grew soft in his final decade, preferring his mythical texts and alchemical experiments to governing. This suited the assassins just fine, for a dull peace was preferable to endless war and imperial expansion. But following the earthquake in 1509, a new threat appeared in Constantinople, Templars fighting under the old Byzantine crest. Stirring from years of relative calm, Yusuf once again roused his assassins to begin the long and difficult fight ahead, which we've now joined in. Prince Suleiman. Everyone in the world knew this guy's name in the 16th century. Suleiman the Magnificent, they called him in the West, the 10th Sultan of Osman's ever-expanding empire. His fellow Turks were also generous with their praise, though far more practical, calling him Suleiman, Kanuni, or the Lawgiver. The man responsible for improving the empire's bureaucratic engine, making it run like a well-oiled engine. No small feat for an empire as large as his. But I'm getting ahead of myself, ahead of our present concerns when Ezio met Suleiman. He was still a young man with only the faintest hope of ever becoming Sultan. Since his father Selim was dead last in the Ottoman hierarchy, so as befitting a young man of his status and stature, Suleiman threw himself into study with little thought of ever becoming Sultan himself. He was educated at the University in Istanbul and received private tutoring in Topkapi Palace. Little else is known about his early years except that he was a kind and thoughtful man, and that he had a servant named Ibrahim, whom he considered his best friend. By the time Suleiman was 17, however, Bayezid had recognized his grandson's talent and intelligence and installed him as the governor of a large region north of the Black Sea. Over the next few years, Suleiman would hold a number of similar positions until 1520, when an unexpected tragedy robbed his father of sultanate. Suleiman, aged 26, took the throne, a position he would hold for almost 50 years. No pacifist, Suleiman would expand the Ottoman Empire's lands to its furthest points. By the end of his rule, his land By out of his rule, the lands under his command stretched from Algeria to the Persian Gulf and from Austria down to Egypt. But for all his expansionist desires, he was a tolerant man too, and realised that the only way to keep an empire as large as his together was to honour the cultures, traditions and religions of those living under his auspices, which is what we read earlier about it being law. The legend. If one man was responsible for changing the face of the modern assassins forever, it was this guy, Altair ibn Lahad. Born in the Holy Land in 1165 to parents he hardly knew, into an order he did not choose, Altair nevertheless proved himself the devoted pupil and capable fighter before he was out of his teens. In 1189, just as the Third Crusades were gathering steam, Altair stunned even his attentive mentor Al-Mualim by almost single-handedly routing a wave of Crusader soldiers from the steps of Masyaf Castle. From that day forward, Altair's name was known to all assassins. Over the next 2 years, his reputation as a stubborn but deadly fighter eclipsed every minor detail of his mysterious life. Loved by few but admired by all, his impeccable talents were the source of both his incredible successes and his overbearing arrogance. But this was only half the story. Since youth, Altair had shown signs of possessing a rare sixth sense that allowed unprecedented access to the emotions and intentions of his opponents and allies, dubbed Eagle Vision by his fellow assassins. Altair owned and perfected this sense in secret, always wondering if this curious ability that set him apart of the rest would prove a liability. Thanks to the memory stores in Altair's 5 massive keys, we can now get a good glimpse of the man himself, instead of settling for vague glimpses through the Templars' frankly primitive Animus 1.2 Avatar project system. Subject 16. Hello, I'm Clay Kazamarik, and I'm a number. Subject 16. Yes, we're all reducible in the end, right, 17? Just numbers, ones and zeros, I proved that. The day before I offed myself, I created this little artificially intelligent construct talking to you now, using the Animus and its incredible simulation capabilities. I copied myself, snapped that copy into 24 pieces and scattered them around these databanks. You found them, and you pieced me back together. Not bad, eh? Teamwork. Word on the street, of course, is that Clay, the real Clay, the assassin, Lucy's teammate, he isn't alive anymore. He slit his wrists, if I heard right. Damn shame. I never got to see that for myself, but I can imagine my head was, pardon me, his head was swimming with images of his last moments for weeks, like he was rehearsing it, planning just how he'd do it. I hear he even got around to finger painting on the walls of his cell before checking out. Is that right? Mad bastard. I miss him. I really do. Sorry, this is getting confusing. The real Clay is gone and I have taken his place. Good enough? Right. Good enough to still call me cousin, right, Desmond? Very distant cousins, you and me, because somewhere back along our extensive family chain, we both have Ezio to thank for the gift of life. Both of us are related to him, and both of us have had nice little jaunts through his memories, although I had access to far fewer memories than you did. Figure that one out. I guess that's why you're so special. You're the convergence of several amazing bloodlines. But not me, no. I was just a promising lead, a stepping stone to get to you. Oh well, I played my part. What more can a man say? Very little, it turns out. Ah, is he jealous? He's the only target we've got. We've already... Okay, that's all the people. Locations. Okay, so we basically pretty much done all. I haven't read bombs. I'm not going to do the bombs. But the interesting ones I'll go through.
Have you found anything interesting? Mio Dio! Who put that there? Incredibile. Where does it lead?
Why don't we find out?
Who are you, Messere?
Only the most interesting man in your life.
Ah, che presuntuoso.
A presto, Sofia. I will return in a moment.
this here? Do you know how long we've been searching this filthy cistern?
I've been here a few weeks.
13 months! Ever since the Grand Master found that damn key. But he hasn't got a clue what he's doing. All he knows is that somewhere in the city...
This is a big city.
Toxero. That's what I said. Back to your post, Ayrtes.
Do not be detected. That's probably not going to happen, so... If I stay above the head, maybe I can get away with it. Here we go. Just gotta go up that one. Easy.
Things down here. We'll find the key soon.
To make any more bombs, it's fine.
Look alive, huh? We pay you to watch the doors, not your feet.
Oh well. Oh, that's sick. That was sick. I'm gonna kill them all, sorry. Hello there, should we fight? Let us dance. Everybody will die. I forgot you guys need to kick first before I chop your head off. Hi. Hi. And... Hi. They will all fall.
I'm sick of this place. I really am. 8 hours of this filth. A feast of them.
Okay, it's not deep. I can just get the equipment from there. I don't really need to make the bombs, I'm just making the, get the equipment so I can make bombs later.
Petros, make sure we have enough torches for the excavation. I'm tired of stumbling around in the dark.
That is one. Hi.
Wait a minute.
Hello there. Oh, did you fall in the pit? Let me kick you. Get up. Let's fight.
I hope you have made your
Oh, you fighting as well. Boom. Anybody else want to fight? You're all going to die. Oh, there's stairs here. So I could just run around and kill everybody. Like I said I wanted to anyway. Let's kill everybody. Boom. Hello there, you two. You're dead. So we fight? Oh, you're gonna hit me and then try and throw dirt, eh? Well, now you'll be killed. Whoosh. How do I get up there? I have to get up there, don't I? No, I can't get up that way, so there's got to be another way to get up there. Oh god, I can climb up there, it's fine. No, I shouldn't. But I don't care. And I'm here to kill all of you. I can jump over there and grab it, can't I? Bye. Every shadow. Right, I mean, you've already lost.
There is someone down here with us. Keep your eyes open and your hands steady.
It's too late, mate. All your friends are dying. Got him. He's dead. I'm going to kill you and your friends. And there's nothing you can do. Couldn't grasp that one.
Do you see anything?
Do you really want him to answer that? Because I'm going to kill all of you. You're all going to die. Hello.
There, in the corner. I saw
Yes,
something.
you're all gonna die. Oh, and your friends are coming as well. That's nice. Oh, mate, you don't know what you've just done. Get off me, you freak. Get off. You're all gonna die. You're all gonna die. There's nothing you can do. Oh. Get off. Get off me. Come catch and grab it for sneezing. They're all dying. Victory is mine. Oh, is he dead?
Salve, Ezio. That took some time. What did you find?
Something that may interest you.
Mio Dio, che meraviglia! And here is my shop.
Look at the margins.
Strange symbols, and these are titles of books. Rare books. A few of these have not been seen for more than a millennium.
Niccolo Polo hid these books around the city. This map should tell us where.
You're beginning to interest me. Vaguely.
From From what I can tell, I need to find these 3 books first. They may contain clues to locate the rest of these.
Molto curioso.
Another was found beneath Topkapi Palace, but there is still time to reach the others.
Found by whom?
Men who do not read. Sophia, can you decipher this map? Help me find these books.
Can I borrow them when you are finished?
We will work something out. Yusuf, salute.
Piri told me I might see you here. Did you find what you were looking for?
I believe so. This is one of Altair's 5 keys. A strange artifact.
Ah, it is like nothing I have ever seen. You should keep it somewhere safe.
At our headquarters, see. I will. What brings you this way?
I am coordinating with our allies today. The thieves in the bazaar, the mercenaries near the arsenal, and the Romanis in the Constantine district.
You are spread a bit thin, Yusuf. Let me speak with the Romanis myself. I have had so little contact with them in the past.
That would ease my mind. If you are in a hurry, you may travel by our network of tunnels. The air down there is a little foul, but the rats are no bigger than dogs. Have fun.
Grazie.
Alright, and with that I'm going to finish this video here. In the next one I'm going to do what you just said, possibly travel the tunnels. I don't know what's in there. Anyway guys, thank you all for watching, and until next time, take care.